Statement made in the West yesterday, maybe two statements, unfortunately, but there was certainly a power play put on by the Dockers in the opening 5 or 6 minutes, and that game was essentially over at the 15-minute mark. It was a derby with a huge build-up, lots of talk from the Eagles, and it was the Dockers that did the talking on the field.
You know, the galling thing for West Coast, that's 7 in a row. And you remember they used to bully Freo, didn't they? When Freo were new to the competition, West Coast used to just almost... well, they did intimidate them.
Fremantle were awesome through the middle of the ground. I think Mundy got the first one out of the middle, and from that point on, they just looked absolutely dynamic. And I think the only worry for Freo, as we see here... And this is an interesting one, Gerard. Heard in the commentary you talk about them having 5 players in the centre square just before this was it. And Ballantyne was the one that went in, the extra one, who popped out at the end. Were they talking about how they could get this out to Ballantyne with this one?
Well, if you have a look at Ibbotson, he just knows that Ballantyne's out there. I thought they actually had a bit of a mental lapse and they were going to get pinged, but Ballantyne basically went in, said, clearly, if we go out the back, I'm here, and Ibbotson had sorted it out nicely.
What I liked is the setup there. Sandy Lance to Pavlich to Mundy. Their best players all in the action.
And, you can't have them in there all the time, but when they're in there, they're a very powerful midfield. The only worry for them, though, is Tarrant. I mean, having Tarrant out for 4 to 6 weeks really going to hurt them, because even if it's 4 and he plays finals, he's going to come in without... Because I think he was first one back almost, wasn't it, from
it was,
injury,
unfortunately. He's now missed... well, that was his first game back. He's going to miss basically 10 weeks.
Until he got injured, he was the All-Australian, fullback.
He was certainly a chance to be there. In many ways, he's quite lucky. That looked like a cruciate to me, first off.
It's 6 weeks for a medial. It's quite bad, isn't it?
Well, you'd think it's got to be a tear. I mean, I think he missed 5, and now he's going to miss a minimum of 5 to take it up to 10. I don't think he can...
Gerard, Aaron Sandlands won the medal.
He did.
I'm pretty happy about that. You were on the selection panel. Did Ross Glendinning...
No, on the advisory panel.
How many are on that selection panel?
There was, I think, 3.
One. He's called Ross Glendinning.
I voted for Ballantyne, actually. I thought that little fellow was a bit stiff, but Roscoe thought that Aaron Sandlands...
He had a terrific game, so I don't think anyone's complaining, but Ballantyne's 6 goals wasn't bad.
So was Pav.
Yes.
Like we have both said here, they both need rest. Pav made it clear to everybody that he was really running hard. The goal umpire is the only one who dudded him here, and it's cost him one of the goal attempts of the year.
Any chance of West Coast player actually running at him, though? He's the best player.
We'll come to West Coast later in the show.
He's the best player on the ground. He's a man who's probably going to run away if he can.
Was that a goal?
Do you reckon the OPSM would be happy with the umpire sponsorship there, Gerard?
They're just happy you mentioned it now.
Mike, I reckon the umpire, he just needed to know the script. The game was about, there was about 10, 15 goals of difference. That was a goal umpire. They've got a kid called DeBoer, Mike, who at the start of the season was a little bit player, in and out. He's played most of the games now and he's proving everybody who doubted his ability wrong. And he's as tough as nails. Have a look at some of his acts here. This is ultimate desperation there. And that was in the last quarter when the game was over.
Yep. Well, when you're young, Gerard, you do that, don't you? Because you're playing for a spot in a good team, you're going to play finals.
Here's another one.
Yeah, not
where he
everyone
goes
does
through
that,
Bo Walker.
Well, they shouldn't they, Hurdy?
Yeah, well, it's very impressive.
Now, neither of you have mentioned the silkiest player in that team, and perhaps nearly in the comp for his age.
Stephen Hill.
Stephen Hill.
Yeah, absolute gun.
He is, isn't he?
Great to watch. Yeah, I mean, he can be frozen out of games at the moment because of his age and maybe doesn't have the ability to work through a tag, but when he's on, he's really exciting to watch.
And you burnt them last week, Freo. Do you think they're back in contention?
How did I burn them?
You dismissed them.
Between Gerard and I, we've backed them every week. When was the last time you thought they were any good?
You have jumped on nicely, Hurdy. You did burn them last week.